I think we should be fine this time. I think this is it.
Yeah, I
The,
think that's it.
the lobby music wasn't working last time. Now the lobby music is on. It should be fine. Anyway, Lucky 7, episode 7. Without further ado, we're going to get straight to it. Xbox Activision Blizzard deal failed. It did not get passed. UK said, fuck out of here. Do you have anything to say about this deal?
No, the only thing that I was like interested in was that it basically failed due to like cloud gaming,
Mm-hmm.
which was like crazy. And then I want to say their whole thing was that they were like Microsoft was gonna like weaponize Call of Duty, Overwatch, and World of Warcraft, and I was like, I mean, I don't see them weaponizing the other two Call of Duty, yeah, but eh, I mean, I really don't care. I'm just upset that they were gonna appeal, and the CMA was like appeals take like 9 months, but they were
Mm-hmm.
like this one was gonna take even longer. So like we still gonna have to see this shit for like pretty much another year.
Yeah, at least another year.
Ugh.
I think it had a lot to do with what was that shit? I think it had a lot to do with Stadia. Because when
Yeah.
Stadia went out, they specifically said that Game Pass was one of the reasons that they had to shut down. So I think that had a lot to do with it. But other than that, man, I don't give a fuck. It is what it is. Like, it's redundant at this point. It is what it is. If it goes through in a year and a half, fine. If it don't, oh well. Just ready for it to be completely over. So niggas can stop talking about this shit every damn day. But neither here nor there. So fill us in on Diablo. You're the resident Diablo expert, so fill us in on the news. I know they're coming back with a weekend stress test for the servers and all that. So what they got going on?
Well, yeah. Pretty much like you said, like they gonna start like the Service Slam May the 12th. I hate they gonna start it on my kid's birthday, so I'm pretty
Yeah,
much not gonna get to play on that day. Um, you had a lot of people that were salty because our characters are wiped because the cap is gonna be 20
yeah,
or whatever. But we will get that trophy if we can kill that Ashava boss.
mm,
Um, Also, it was interesting because they were like, this time around, they were saying like Diablo 4 like wasn't meant to like go on forever. And so like with Diablo 3, like this is the last season, season 29. However, they said like they're just gonna like recycle content. So
mm,
like Diablo 3 is pretty much basically still just gonna keep like going on and on and on and on and on, but they were like they didn't want to do that with Diablo 4, and so that there was going to be like a pinnacle boss fight. And
mm,
so what they were saying was it was going to be after you would reach like level 100 in Nightmare. And they were like that the dungeons would still like scale like beyond level 100, but they was just like they want to make it to where there's like a stopping point, like you can still progress but like you're not gonna receive like anything else, so like you've already reached like the maximum power of like gear, and they're like at that point you can basically like re-roll and respec your character until you pretty much maxed out, and they're
mm,
like then you'll be able to like take on like just that final boss. But they was like it's not going to be something that as soon as you reach like that level 100 that you're going to be able to do. They're like it's going to be like extremely hard. And so they even went on to say because it's going to be live service, and like we're also getting like a battle pass, but they was like none of it is going to be like gear related or anything like that. So none of the seasons are going to have like anything to do with like better loot. Everything is pretty much going to be like purely cosmetic. And then they also said because like say if you got like Fortnite or whatever,
mm.
like and you can get like goofy ass fucking like costumes and shit. But they were pretty much saying that they weren't gonna do that for Diablo. Like everything was pretty much gonna stick to like the horror aesthetic or whatever. And
As it
they,
should.
yeah, like you see a fucking pancake running around in Diablo. They even was like they weren't even gonna put pits in, even though like it was popular in three or whatever, and a lot of people wanted that, but they were like they weren't even planning on like pits or anything. And so like they had like a long ass fucking interview this week, and so like they went really in depth about like the PvP zones, like those fields of hatred, and they just like honed in on the fact that it's gonna be like super chaotic and just like fucking terrorizing, which is like on brand for fucking Blizzard for real, because like that is like my earliest memories in like fucking gank to death in
Hmm.
fucking World of Warcraft. Like people would gank you and see you just like log the fuck off. And so that's pretty much what they said. They was like, there's not gonna be like any protection for solo players. Like you can pretty much be ganked by like a big ass group. They was like the only thing that they were gonna sort of kind of implement would be like the level 100 coming to kill you like when you're like level 10 or some shit
Hmm.
or whatever. But even then, they were like, you might still fucking get killed by like that level 100. So, which is also fucking on brand because you would have like max level characters come to the starter zones and like kill everything. And so, also unlike Diablo 3, like PvP is coming, it's gonna be at launch. And so that was like a big ass gripe with Diablo 3, like you had to wait for PvP, but it's gonna be there like directly at launch. And then more importantly for me is like we can steal people's loot after we kill them. So it's like super like risk reward type
Hmm.
balance. Like you can there's like PvE zones and shit like that. So like there'll be like towns and exploration and shit like that, but it's at the cost of you like losing every fucking
Yeah,
thing
yeah,
or
that's tough.
whatever. Yeah, and so like they also have shit, it's like in-game currency for PvP that's gonna be called shards of hatred. And so basically, I assume we'll be able to like buy shit with that. But whenever you pick one up, you're like marked on the map. So pretty much everyone can see your location. They know you have shards of hatred, and like now everybody finna come kill you and like steal your shit. But they were like, if you can get to like one of these like shrines before they like take them, then you can keep them whether you die or not. But I'm just like, if you've been murdered by like a group, I don't see how you're gonna like get anywhere before
Right.
like before they loot your body. So like I don't really see how that shit's gonna work or whatever. They also didn't mention anything like nowadays pretty much you can like report griefing and shit like that. But like they didn't like mention anything like that. Um, to be honest, Blizzard never really cared anyways. I mean, you can report that shit, but they really not gonna do anything. What he did say is like a consolation. He was like, the map is gonna be so big, to like if you do get murdered, you're probably not going to see that person again. Which I'm like, that's bold to me because I'm like, how big is the fucking map that we're not gonna see the same people in?
Mm.
So that's gonna be interesting. And then two, they were like, if you play Diablo and Diablo 2, if you killed someone, like you could pick their ear up and it would have like their name or whatever. And so they were like these really like cool trophies. Like people would have like fucking pages and pages of like ears or whatever, but they didn't have that shit in three. And so they pretty much made like a tweet, like one of the developers did, that kind of like hinted that like ears might be coming back or whatever. So like people that were like super into PvP were like really excited about that. And one of the other things, just because like they were pretty much touching base on shit like that people in the community had like questions about. So like a lot of people was interested in like the respecking of your character
Hmm.
because I know we talked about that too because that shit was like free or whatever. And so re the way they've done respecking has been like on extremes. Like in Diablo 2, it was like fucking ridiculous. Like you were gonna be like a blood necromancer. Then if you wanted to go into like another spec in necromancy, you pretty much was gonna have to make like another necromancer. And it was just like ridiculous. And then you had three where you could change whatever, whenever, even like in the middle of a fight you could like change
Damn.
everything. Yeah. And so if you noticed in four, like you never really pause the screen. And so in three, you could pause it. Like in the middle of a fight, it don't didn't fucking matter. You could change your armor, you could change like everything. And so they were like for four, they wanted like a middle ground. So they wanted it to where it would be free early on because like you're like playing around with shit or whatever, you're like testing the waters. But they were like on down the road for like in game, they wanted it to be like where you had to think about that shit. So
Hmm.
like they were showing the Paragon board, and so like people were noticing that they hovered over like a skill for a second, and that shit cost 40,000 per ability to respec. So that shit is gonna end up being like super expensive like later on, but obviously it wouldn't break you because I had like I think like 500,000 like by the time I like finished the beta. So I mean it's not gonna like just kill you to respect, but it's like it's gonna make you think about it or
So
whatever.
does
With
Diablo have a currency that you could buy with actual money?
that, I'm not sure. They never really had that. Oh, it was always like and see, and that's what I'm interested with for like the battle pass because the battle pass is new. And I see if you get like the highest tiered like edition, then you it came with the battle pass or whatever. So I'm not sure if it's gonna come with some sort of like V book type shit
Mm.
or not, but everything usually is all like purely like cosmetic, like wings and pets and shit
Okay.
like that. So I don't know, like that's what I was like thinking about too, like how the fuck the battle pass was gonna work or whatever. They talked about like meta, which I hate, like meta builds and shit like MMOs or whatever because it's pretty much like you have to play a certain way, like you have to get a certain armor set or whatever, or like people just weren't gonna let you do content or whatever. And so like people wanted to know like how that was gonna work because in Diablo 2 you had like specific gear sets that you just had to fucking get or whatever, and that shit like is irritating or whatever. And so one of the developers, Adam, he was like which I felt was cap because he was like they feel that all classes, or of course all classes are going to be able to complete everything because that would just be bullshit that like druid can't, you know what I'm saying,
Right.
complete the boss or whatever. But what was cap was he was like at the end all classes should be like balanced in power. And I'm like, that shit is so cap because I died 6 times during beta. And I can tell you right now, I ain't died not one time on fucking Necromancer.
Yeah, I was
Like,
gonna say nah. Necromancer is above all, bro. So
like that shit is extremely unbalanced early on. Like, and it was like that in Diablo 3 too. So like me and my husband, like dead ass, just made new characters for this last season, and he made a barbarian because neither one of us has ever picked that shit, and like all he do is die. Like his character dies so much in those encounters because we'll get big groups and he has to be up close, and
Yeah,
so he fucking
you got to
dies.
take damage. You don't have any choice but to take damage with a barbarian.
Right, he has to take damage, and then I have like, cause I have raised dead, so I literally can raise everything that has been killed from the
Mm.
dead. So I have so much shit on the fucking screen, you can't even like tell what is what. And so I'm just like, that shit is so capped to say that a barbarian is gonna be balance with necromancer. Like I just don't fucking see that shit. And so you had a lot of people was complaining about that because they were like they played as barbarian and they was just like fighting for their fucking life in that fucking beta while like I sat there and pressed the damn button. And like you already have like these busted ass builds, like Sorcerer had like those that ice blade build where like they
Yeah.
didn't have to do shit
Yep, that
or
was me. That
whatever.
was me. All ice.
You also had like these busted ass rogue builds. Like, I mean, you didn't even need a build for Necromancer. I even seen like crazy ass druid builds, like these werewolf builds, tornado builds, and shit like that. And then a lot of people was like playing a barbarian was starting at like torment 6 at like level 1. They was like it was ridiculous. And like I mean I believe that shit like because I see this shit on Diablo 3 and I'm like hell nah. So he also was like we would have like some sort of like build variety. So like which we saw that in beta. So like you could make builds based on like those legendary aspects like that you pick up on gear or
Mm.
whatever, or like through paragon skills, or of course like your straight up class specific skills. So like I mean I was already pretty much doing that with those legendary aspects because like I like those gear pieces that like gave like extra summons and shit since I was playing solo. And so I think pretty much for like meta, just as long as you're not in like some super strict ass PvP clan, like that meta shouldn't like impact the game like they have for like the rest of them or whatever. Especially since they were moving away from like the gear set shit or whatever. Um, Adam was pretty much like he just wanted everybody to like be able to make their own decisions and just like not automatically know like I have to have this staff, I need to have this helmet and shit like that. So that was that was interesting for me. They also had like other just like small pieces of news or whatever. One was that like we could skip campaign on alts. So like
Mm.
yeah, so like on all the other ones, like you had to play the fucking campaign on alts, and so like with this, of course, they're gonna have like full blown PvP zones. So obviously, you're gonna want to have builds like just for PvP, and like who the fuck want to go through like the whole story just for like a PvP
Right.
build or whatever. So I like that part. I like that we can just jump into the gameplay. Um, they also were like, there's not going to be any like region locked type server. So no Europe, no America, nothing like that or whatever. So you'll be able to play with like anybody, anywhere. And what they were going to try to do was like like have everyone meet in the middle somewhere to like, so just so their latency isn't like a bazillion or whatever.
Hmm.
So, I mean, that was cool too. Um, a lot of people that played Druid, like people that played Druid, I don't know, they had like a lot of complaints. So like
Trash.
so they had this shit called like crushing blows. And so like it was like, ah, this is cool because it was like only specific to druids. But then like they was like, nah. And so like they removed it and they just like worked it into overpower, which is what everyone had. So they was
Hmm.
like, fuck that shit. And so then they also got like a lot of backlash on how the druid looked or whatever. Like a lot of people was like they want to like skinny druids. It's shit like that. And so like they doubled down on that and they was like, fuck no, because we got all these fucking armor sets and we're not like the fuck, we not gonna go back and make like skinny druids, tall druids. Like that ain't what the fuck we finna do. They was like all the classes were gonna have like unique looks or whatever. So it was kind of like how that shit, like how they usually do it or whatever. Like, cause you pretty much never got to like customize your character. So like your character is gonna look a certain way, but you can like we could change like little shit or whatever on four. Um, and then the mounts were also just something that I was excited about because there was just going to be a lot of ways to use the mounts, and then we're also going to be able to like customize the mounts. Like we can throw like trophies and saddlebags and armor on there and shit, and we can use the mounts in all forms of gameplay. So like we can use the mounts in PvP and shit like that. So I'm like, I don't know if they're like in the Paragon board if there's gonna be anything specific to like I don't know like mount speed or some shit like that because I know that's how like ESO does it like in PvP you could like you had talent specifically for mounts in case you're like trying to escape and shit and I assume we'll be able to use it in like combat and stuff like that. And so the only thing is we can't use mounts until we've completed the main campaign once. But they was like, as long as we do it once, alts and shit can use them too.
Oh, that's clutch.
Yeah, and so I also see that we have like different types of mounts or whatever, and not just like those basic ones that like they showed us. Like they had like this ghost mount. It kind of looks like the Celestial Steed from World of Warcraft. And then there's like this decaying mount. It kind of looks like the zombie dogs from like Resident Evil or
Hmm.
whatever. And so there's like lots of armor sets that you can get. I saw one from like a treasure goblin that kind of makes the horse kind of like a panther, like with the helmet area, kind of looks like a cat. Then it had like all these like horns and shit. And then like that Shava mount looks good too. So I mean, this week like they just had like a lot of fucking news or whatever regarding Diablo. So I don't know. I guess they're pretty much like trying to get us like ready for launch or whatever. So I don't know. Like I'm excited to play it. Like I'm ready to play this shit already.
Yeah, I'm just ready to play it, man. I like everything they're doing. It looks perfect. Um, I kind of don't want to play the stress test because it's so close to the game coming out that I really just want to just sit down and really just play the full game straight through. But the game is so fucking addictive that it's like, God dang. So, so we shall see, man. It's coming out very soon. But moving right along. So you said Remedy dropped a bunch of banging ass information, updating the streets. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, like that shit came out like so fucking random. Like they just dropped like a full ass like report or whatever. And like most developers these days don't do that shit because they be fucking lying or whatever. They be
Remedy
trying to
feels like an
hide.
indie studio for some reason. I know it's not, but it. I don't know. They the way that they move, the way that they come off, and the way that they operate is kind of it just reminds. It's like an indie style. Like
Yeah, like they care, like they want you to know or whatever, and like that's pretty much how they were just like wording everything or whatever. They were like talking about like their staff, talking about how much staff was here and how they were like, okay, like this is it's far enough. We're gonna pull people to go on like other projects and shit. So like I don't know, they seem like they care more than
mm-hmm.
like other studios, but I know that they were like for Alan Wake 2 that it's pretty much like done. Like they were like during the first quarter, like it's in the final stage of production or whatever. And Control 2 and the Max Payne 1 and 2 remake would they progressed to like the proof of concept stage.
Mm-hmm.
But for Alan Wake 2, they was like that's pretty much coming out this year, sometime at the end of this year. They was like everybody's like excited for it. They was like they're in like the last major stage, and they're getting ready for launch or whatever. They was like it's fully staffed right now, but they're like they're finna start pulling people off to like go to other projects because they have like several other things that they're doing right
Mm-hmm.
now. And so like with Control, like that one moved to proof of concept in January. but they also like, which I assume that's where the people from the Alan Wake team are going. They're going to something called Codename Condor, which is gonna be a part of Control too. But what that is there's gonna be like this free to play like multiplayer
Yeah, I
type
did hear they
game.
was doing a multiplayer game based on the Control universe.
Right. And so they was like they pretty much like done like all the world building and shit like that. And they've done like all the key designs for gameplay, and they're pretty much gonna use like the existing assets and locations from the original Control, and they're gonna put it in that Condor game or whatever. And so they were pretty much saying that they want to expand like Control. Basically, I assume maybe that means we'll get a Control 3. They definitely said that they're gonna like keep that codename Condor game like churning out or whatever, because they said they want to keep it for like years to come. Um for Max Payne 1 and 2, they were like that one was progressing well. They was like that moved into the proof of concept. They was just like everyone was working like super hard, and like they were what they're trying to focus on with Max Payne, because those games are like super good, like
Mm-hmm.
pretty much how they were. So there's not gonna be like no like changes and shit like that. But what they're trying to do, they said, was they're trying to make the graphics.
I was about to say
So,
all they have to do is just update the graphics and make them modern. That's it. They could leave.
right.
They could literally leave the gameplay as is.
Yeah, and that's what they said. They was like, that's what they're focusing on, is they're trying to bring like those high quality PC like graphics to Max Payne is what they're trying to do. And like that's what they was gonna focus on pretty much towards the end of this year, was gonna be like they was gonna work on expanding the team for that. But they were really like focusing on just like reviving the graphics for that or whatever. So like I'm really excited for like fucking Max Payne 1 and 2 or whatever. Like that was like it was in some of those first games that I played that I was moving away from like turn based shit or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. So I really want to fucking replay this shit. I had rebought it actually or whatever, but a remake would just be even fucking better.
Max Payne is the story of it. I'm not even talking about the fact that they revolutionized gaming with the bullet time mechanic, but just the story of it is so New York undercover, the grittiness, the drug use, the violence. Just Max Payne is definitely top three, if not the best, because I would actually have to sit down and really look. But it is one of the greatest third person shooters of all time. Just the story, the gunplay, the bullet time, the environments. Max Payne is so perfect that you don't really got to do. They could release a Max Payne trilogy bundle right now, and it'll do crazy numbers. Like Max Payne is just one of them series, man. I gotta. The only one I haven't beat is Max Payne 3. I eventually have to play that, but it's on the Xbox store for very cheap, so I'll get around to it eventually. But Remedy, Remedy, look, we know y'all got that Doctor Strange game coming. Y'all got a million games. Y'all got a million things y'all working on right now. We know Doctor Strange is coming. Reveal that shit soon, please, because the niggas is excited. I'm excited. I want to know something about Doctor Strange, but I understand they got Control coming. They got Alan Wake coming, which I still got to play the first one, but they got a lot of stuff coming. So I'm excited about anything that Remedy is working on because I know that they're gonna do it and it's gonna have the utmost care because they really detail oriented with their games and they really like really take the time to really polish their shit. Like Remedy games don't really have too many bugs or too many glitches or the stuff that people dislike about Remedy games is usually just like basic gameplay design, like the map of fucking Control being convoluted and messy, shit like that. But it's never the gameplay or the graphics. So Remedy, we want to see everything y'all got coming. We excited for all of that shit. Please reveal the Doctor Strange game soon because we know that it's coming. We heard the rumors. Reveal Doctor Strange. With that being said, Armored Core. Now I got to see the trailer, but I watched it on mute because I was doing something at the time. I did see that they had one of the developers from Soft actually talking about the gameplay. So break down what can we expect from Armored Core? What's going on with that?
Okay, so basically, well, one of the first things is everybody is just like, one, people that like have never played one are asking, well, they're pretty much, because they said that it's not going to be, of course, it's not Souls like, because it's different, or whatever. And so everyone is taking that as, I don't know, they're taking it in not the right way, because Armored Core games are still like insanely difficult, but for
Mm-hmm.
different reasons or whatever. And so they're not Souls like in the fact that the way Souls like games can become easy.
Mm-hmm.
So there is gameplay wise, you're not gonna be grinding shit out to like try and over level a boss or some shit like that. That's not what you're finna do. Even if you grind up cash, you're still not gonna be able to just like overpower your way through bosses and
Mm-hmm.
enemies and shit, just because the enemies on Armored Core are usually whereas they're like patterns and shit to like Souls like games, these enemies are all about like speed and shit like that. Like some enemies are just like they're like fast as hell or whatever, and you're just like you pretty much just gonna have to like hightail it up out of there for real. If there's like a lot of them,
Mm-hmm.
um, you also had to do shit like you had to manage like gas and shit like that. A lot of people was wondering like if we're gonna have to do this shit or whatever, which would that would also just add like a lot of people didn't like that. Like that to me, that would be like super unforgiving for people that's just like gonna try and pick it up or whatever. The games still are like extremely good. They're like really fun. Like we barely had any mech games or whatever. I believe the last one we had for Armor Core came out on PS3. I didn't play that one. I played the ones that were the last one I played was 4, and I didn't get to finish it because my disc got scratched up.
Damn.
But I mean, the games were always like super fun. They were, I mean, you were always in like this post apocalyptic type setting or whatever. Like I know pretty much for 6, the only thing that we really know is that we're gonna be playing like I think his name is, it was like some letters and numbers
Mm-hmm.
or whatever, and basically we're gonna be under someone called Walter, and like that's it. Like that's pretty much like all we know. Basically, they showed like a snippet of like fucking dialogue or whatever. So like we pretty much don't know too much. You know what I'm saying about the game? Um, it's just I don't know. You would have to like you would have to play one to really like understand necessarily, because it is a lot to explain. Like it is a lot or whatever. Just you have to build, like you can build all the different body parts, like the arms, the heads, the legs, the generators, the boosters, like they are right weapons and back weapons. So it is just like a lot of fucking customization in true FromSoft fashion. Like you don't get like any like explanation. Really, they just kind of like throw you in there. And so then you also have these like operational parts, which would be like the random like little things that you pick up, like
Mm-hmm.
shit like fire paper and shit like that. Like that's pretty much like what that is. Um, so it is just like it is a lot. So
Has
no,
has FromSoft always been a developer of Armor Core?
I know that that's what they started with. That's what they started with back in like the 90s
Mm,
was with Armor Core. And then
okay.
they had that Eternal Ring game. But fucking Armor Core is how they even built up like their studio or whatever.
Okay.
So a lot of people are coming off of just like Dark Souls and shit like that. But I mean, Armor Core it's always been there, but it just wasn't really received well, like outside of Japan, really, or whatever. And they've even like had several like remakes and like reboots and shit like that, but they just haven't done well. Like the PS3 game, like did horrible. Like no one really liked it or whatever. Because like I said, it's a lot of people are like Souls games don't hold your hand, but like Armor Core games, like they really don't hold your fucking hand. Like I ain't even lie. Like I have to pull up a guide for that shit. There's also gonna be like PvP type shit or whatever. So it's gonna be multiplayer, but that's gonna be like the only multiplayer or whatever. So it's not gonna be like how we could just like summon someone to
Hmm.
help with like boss fights and shit like that. Like all the missions are gonna be solo, but we'll be able to have like these big ass like arena like PvP type fights. So they were pretty much like but I don't know because to me it sounds like they're more so focusing on like the story for Armor Core and kind of like PvP might kind of be like a afterthought or whatever. Back like in other games like PS3 and shit like that you had like co-op shit, like some of the missions could be like co-op or whatever, and then they've always had like the PvP multiplayer and stuff like that. But pretty much they were like, for now at least, all the missions were gonna be like solo.
Hmm.
So that's also like taking away one of the things that makes it Souls like. So it's like when they say it's not Souls like, it's pretty much all the things that make Souls games, I guess, like accessible to like new players. That's not in Armor Core, which what makes it not Souls like. So when people hear that, oh, it's not Souls like, they're going into it thinking that it might be like an easier experience, and
Listen, don't play yourself. Anybody that's buying this game that think they about to get in this bitch, oh, finally a FromSoft game I can get into. This finna be a breeze. Don't play yourself.
no,
This game is gonna be hard as fuck. It's gonna be tons of customization that you have to do in order to progress in the game. This game is not for anybody that you coming into this the first time not understanding how to play it and you think that you're gonna be good. It's gonna be a lot of y'all frustrated on Twitter. It's gonna be a lot of y'all returning the game. It's gonna be a lot of y'all talking about how trash the game is. Understand what you're playing before you go and get this game.
pretty much. And so I saw a lot of people, they were like, because like I said, like Armor Core, yes, that's what put FromSoft on the map was Armor Core, but that took a backseat when Demon Souls got released. And so a lot of people don't talk about those games. And so a lot of people on Twitter are like, they don't understand like why so many people are hyped. But I mean, you had Elden Ring. To me, Elden Ring was the most accessible out of all the other games. It was the
Mm-hmm.
easiest one, and so you got people that's coming in, and they're finna, like you said, they're finna be extremely disappointed. And like, if you've never played an Armor Core game, I would go look up gameplay on that shit. I would not pre-order that shit. That's some shit I would not pre-order just because I like Bloodborne. I like Elden Ring. Like I wouldn't even do that shit. Like you definitely gonna play yourself and you gonna be mad as fuck. Especially because those like those deluxe editions and shit don't really come with anything other than if you want like a fucking the little, you know what I'm saying, the figure or
Hmm.
whatever. So a lot of people was like they was gonna pre-order for the figure. A lot of people was like they wanted the steel book, and I'm like, y'all crazy as hell because that shit y'all gonna be like returning that shit to GameStop.
Hmm. Listen, just do what I'm doing, y'all. Look, I'm gonna wait for the developer walkthrough. I'm gonna wait until people actually get the game in their hands. And if I do wind up pre-ordering this game, it'll be very close to release when I have all of the information that I need to make my purchase. So, and it's coming out at the end of August. So, listen, it's going to be a lot of games coming out in September. So, if I'm gonna pre-order this game, it's going to be super close to release when I have all the information, all of it. So, but we definitely tuned into that though, because it do look good from what I've seen. It do look good. I gotta finish watching the developer interview about because I started it, but I didn't get to finish it. But I gotta go back and look at that because the game does look good. But again, when you're dealing with FromSoft, you gotta have the information. You cannot go into a FromSoft game blind just because the game looks good or whatever. You gotta have the information.
Right, and like I said, like even shit, you know, like Bloodborne, Dark Souls. I mean, you could jump. Me personally, because that's what I did. I jumped into those games. I was fine. I was able to figure shit out. Not with Armored Core. Like
Hmm.
I was a very, very frustrated ass child in tears. I need a guide. Like put that shit away. I ain't play that shit till I got in high school type shit. Like those games were like frustrating. It was I don't know if you played Neo, kind of like where you have to just like
Hmm.
customize on each fight damn near, but that's pretty much like what you got to do or whatever. And so it is just it is a mess. It's a fucking mess. But if you like mech games, if you like challenging games, challenging combat, rewarding combat and shit like that, I would look into it. Like I said, I would like look at older games and shit like that.
Definitely looks good. We're gonna stay tapped in with that. But so Honkai Star Rail, I didn't get to play it yet because every time I try to load this game, it says it's telling me about the files. So basically, I need to clear more space on my damn iPad, which is going to be a tall task for me tomorrow. So I have to do that before I can play Honkai. But did you get to play it yet?
Finally, goddamn, like there was like a big ass bug when that shit first came out. So
Uh,
like you would try and install it, and then it would never fucking install or whatever. It would get like stuck for me, just like on where the train is just fucking like floating or whatever. And so I finally got that shit to load. Um,
I
I'm
think
gonna
that's what
start.
happened with mine. I got to try it again.
Yeah, it might not even be that you don't have the file space. It is probably just that shit fucking it keeps freezing. And even
Mhm.
sometimes after it would load, it would still freeze because you get that fucking that flying train screen
Yup.
again.
Yes, I could not get past that screen.
Yeah, a lot of people was on the Google Play Store saying that like they couldn't even play the fucking game. But
Hmm.
I finally got in there. I'm gonna start this by saying I don't like Genshin Impact. Not saying it's a bad game, just it's not for me or
Hmm.
whatever. And so with this, I'm gonna say it's not for me either. Um,
What?
it's a I mean it's a
It's
cutesy
turn
game.
based though, so I thought you would fuck with it.
I mean it is like some I don't know it's like some time sync type shit. The to me it had that terrible ass anime game dialogue, like those voice
Hmm.
actors.
Yeah.
Like I fucking hate that shit. I didn't. I also didn't want to like go in the settings and shit because I tried to do the login shit, and it took me like to the little app, and then that shit crashed. And so like I didn't even want to go in to see if I could like change the fucking voices or whatever. I'm sure you could, but like I had to play that shit on mute first.
Damn.
um, bruh, it is like they rushed to get this game out. The names of shit is so fucking stupid. The what is that shit called? The Genius Society.
They just announced the game, so I was shocked that it came out so quick.
Yeah, I was too. Like I was too. But yeah, those names like suck. Fucking the character, the little hacker chick. Her name is Silver Wolf, and it is just like that shit is it is all over the place. Like combat. I mean, it's turn based, but it's you press this button. Literally, you press single attack. You press multi attack, you have ultimate. Like, I'm pretty sure you can get other like skills or whatever, but I was just like, one, I could not get past like the the cheesiness or whatever. Like I said, it's like a little cutesy anime type game. So like if you like, those types of games, then you would like it. If you like Genshin Impact, I'm sure you would like it. You can kind of like it's kind of like Persona, where you can run up and you can swing your weapon at an enemy before battle, so you can start with like I guess it would be like weakened or some shit like that.
Mm.
um Combat early on at least was boring. It was so fucking boring. Oh my god.
Damn.
Like, you are never in any danger of dying. Like the little 20 damage that you took, like later on, I mean, you would hit like little health vials and that shit it would heal you any fucking ways. Like, like I said, I only played like a couple hours and then I had a phone call. And then after I got a phone, I went back to playing Ace Attorney. Like, which I wasn't even planning to do because I was like, I'm gonna sink in like some hours on this game just so I could
Hmm.
like talk about it. But like, it totally slipped my mind, and I went back to playing Ace Attorney because I'm like, the story is bled. Like, I don't know if it's gonna pick up later. I assume it does, but it just was taking like too long. Like, for me, just because I have like way too many games to begin with, like, I'm gonna need the story to like grab me immediately, and that story didn't, because I mean, automatically I'm not like, ooh, I need to be super immersed. I'm not like an
Hmm.
immersion type person. But when you have shit called like the Genius Society or whatever, like the the little bit of immersion, you know what I'm saying, that I do enjoy, like that just like murders it or whatever. And so like you're like this Mary Sue type piece of, I don't know, you were like a treasure or whatever, your character, because originally you play as someone else. You play as her name was like Kefka or some shit like that, because it reminded me of the boss from Final Fantasy VI or whatever. And so and then you played as that Silver Wolf chick, but then you're able to like, they're looking for like this treasure, and the treasure is you or whatever, and so you're able to like pick between male or female, pretty much like Genshin or whatever. And I'm not gonna play it. I'm not gonna play that fucking shit. I'm not gonna play that shit if it came on console, just because, like I said, I didn't like Genshin. We tried it because they said, "Oh, it's multiplayer or whatever." But then when me and my husband downloaded it, it was like, "Ain't no multiplayer until level 16."
Yeah,
And
I couldn't
then
get with Genshin. I just didn't couldn't. I tried to play it twice on two
I,
different occasions. It just
same.
didn't connect. I don't know.
It didn't for me either. So it was a no for me. But like I said, if you like Genshin Impact, if you like those cutesy anime type games, then I'm pretty sure. And if you like turn based and something that's like chill, because that's the other thing. That was kind of like a just like a, I ain't got shit to do. I done left the Steam Deck, the Switch. I forgot to leave the PlayStation on for remote play. Like, even then, there are other like mobile games that I would play like before I played that shit. Like, so I can't even. I don't know. I don't know. That shit went for me though.
Yeah, I'm gonna try it, but nah, based on what I've been hearing, it's kind of mid. So I don't know. I'll give it a try though. I'm not. I'm 100% positive that I'm probably not gonna sink any real time into this game.
Hell
But
no, based on what you say, as far as like how you're bored, like you get bored, like bruh, you gonna play like that first battle and like you gonna install this shit.
yeah, that's probably the direction I'm heading in. But I'm gonna try it on my iPad, so I know whether or not I need to waste time downloading it when it comes to PlayStation. But other than that, I think that that system, that Steam Deck competitor,
Yeah, I saw it. Like it has
seven
like
hundred dollars.
yeah, I saw that, and then the fact that it's not gonna be like customizable, which that was weird to me. Everyone was saying it wasn't gonna have like the do-it-yourself shit that like the Steam Deck has,
Mm.
which means like you're just not gonna be able to like do all the customization shit. So you're basically paying $700 for like a mini console, if that makes sense. Like, yeah, it's gonna be like powerful or whatever, but I don't know.
But what is it
The
running if it's not customizable?
I know it's running Windows or whatever, which a lot of people were like they weren't happy about because apparently that like throttles shit or whatever.
Hmm.
It like um it has like RAM issues. It eats up a lot of RAM or something like that. So people were complaining about that. People were complaining that it didn't have like trackpads or whatever. I'm trying to figure out how that's gonna work exactly because on Steam Deck you have to have like that trackpad because you have desktop mode.
Hmm.
And so I'm wondering if it's even gonna have a desktop mode. I know it's gonna have native Game Pass or whatever, but you can still have Game Pass on fucking Steam Deck or whatever. So I'm not sure. I don't know. A lot of people was like though that the specs or whatever are like Steam Deck could have competition, but $700 is like crazy. I do like the joystick placement though because the Steam Deck one is like ridiculous. Them
Yeah, it
hoes
look
like
weird. The
they're
Steam Deck
across from each
stick look
other.
weird. Yeah, that shit look weird, man.
They're across from each other. I'm pretty sure I can go in and customize it, but I haven't even used the fucking the sticks yet. Like because I've been playing I'm playing like a DS game right now, and so I'm having to use the fucking the D pad or whatever. But
Mm.
I would hate to have to use those thumbsticks trying to play some shit. Like people are like it runs Elden Ring, and I'm like I don't see how the fuck you would play that. I don't see how the fuck you would play like Resident Evil or some shit where you need to like use those sticks or like I don't see how you're gonna play that. I'm not. I also didn't see any extra buttons because on the back of the Steam Deck there are four extra buttons on the back of it as well
Mm.
or whatever. So, and then those also serve to me kind of. It's kind of like how that DualSense Edge is, where it's like you can like rest your fucking fingers because, like I said, this shit is like massive. But I don't know.
The
A lot of
Asus
people.
ROG Ally, by the way,
Yeah,
if
a lot
anybody
of
asks the name.
people. A lot of people are like they were happy that they waited on getting a Steam Deck. So I don't know, but
They
people.
smoking dick. This is a no buy. Okay, this is absolutely a no purchase. At $700, this shit needs to come with a dock for $700, and it needs to be customizable. At $700, I don't know who the fuck they think is gonna buy this. You could buy a Steam Deck. You can buy a fucking controller. You could take your chances with the dock. You could buy all of that shit and it still be under. You could buy the highest Steam Deck.
Yeah.
You could get the highest Steam Deck with the best with the most memory. This is a no buy. I don't know what they thinking. Nobody's gonna buy this shit. This is nothing but a fucking powerful Ouya. That's how we gonna look at this in history. This shit is not gonna last, and I don't know what they're thinking. Moving on, we're not giving them no attention at $700. Stop it. Stop it. Um. So have you played Jedi Survivor yet?
No, like I haven't even finished the first one, and so I wasn't. I'm like I ain't finna even buy the second one. I've done that with other games just because I liked the first one. Even I'm just like I ain't even finna do it. And then I get on Twitter. First thing I see is that it's on PC at least. I know I saw that you were talking about it had some bugs too, but the fact that it has a lower score, a lower rating on Steam because the Metacritic score for some reason is an 80 on PC, and
Ridiculous.
people like how because they like our cap because it's 20 points lower than fucking The Last of Us on PC. It's like in the 30s. So that shit was crazy. Like PC is nothing. Nothing that's came out has been good for them. Like Forspoken didn't work, Wild Hearts didn't work, Wo Long didn't work, goddamn The Last of Us didn't work. Like nothing fucking worked unless you just had monster PC specs. Which there's a girl that I follow on Twitter, and I mean she's been able to play all those games, but like I said, she has a monster ass PC. So like the average person just like they can't play none of these games, and that shit crazy. That shit crazy. But I know you played it. I know you played it.
I'm planning on Series X right now, and I can't really say I'm disappointed because of the fact that I never really have faith in EA because I know that EA doesn't ever like put care and love into their products. EA is just like, all right, get the product out on time, and whatever happens, it is what it is. That's just how they treat all of their franchises. So I know to expect EA games to be unpolished, at least a little bit. So I'm not really tripping like over the bugs and stuff. Like I've had a lot of glitches, a lot of bugs. Um, I posted on Twitter earlier a bug where I couldn't move. I could only move the camera, but I couldn't move Cal. It's just a lot of dumb shit like that. But to me, just when I'm looking at the game, like so they told us before the game came out when they surprise revealed it last year. They said, "All right, we got fast travel now, so we fixed the backtracking. We fixed this. The combat is gonna be more brutal, and they told us all of this stuff that got us excited. Well, at least me, because I didn't like the first one. I did not like Fallen Order. It took me 3 years to beat it. I thought it was so boring. I thought it was dirt. I thought it was. I just didn't like it. I didn't like it
Space
at all.
Souls.
Yeah, I just didn't. I ain't like it at all, man. That Jedi Fallen Order. So going into this one, when they said, "Look, everything y'all didn't like about the first one, we fixed it for this one, so you're gonna like this one." I said, "All right, fuck it, let's give it a try." So the backtracking. I'm on this mission. I'm at the end of the mission, so they telling me to go back to the spacecraft or whatever. So I'm like, all right, well, let me rest over here at the rest point, and then I'm gonna hit fast travel. Click on fast travel. Fast travel not allowed. So I had to go all the way back to the beginning of the level from the end of the level. Now,
See,
now they do have mounts, which is the trending game, and every game has to have a mount now. So they did give me this little bird that I could ride like halfway through the level, and then they have another bird that you can glide on. So that kind of improved it a little bit. So it's an improvement. I mean, I guess you could. I can't sit up here and say they didn't improve it. But what the fuck is fast travel in the game for if I can only use it in between missions and shit, or if I want to go back after I finish mission to go to another world or a world I came from before to just do some cleanup. If I can't use it to just go back to the beginning of the level after I complete a level, what the fuck do we have it for?
all right.
Now, if I'm wrong, I'm 10 hours into the game. If I'm wrong, and over the next 15 hours, magically I can use it to travel back to the beginning of the level, I will be sure to update this next week and say, all right, I was wrong, they did fix it. But as of right now, what was the point? Like, it's just like the bare minimum type of shit. The combat, exactly the same, 1-to-1. And that's not a bad thing because the combat in the game was the best thing about the game. The combat is great. So I'm not going to sit up here and criticize the combat, but it's a 1-to-1, literally. It has most of the same animations. Is the same parry time, and like it's literally the exact same combat. Nothing different there. The traversal, the platforming, you get like a rope that you could basically use as a grappling hook, so you can grapple hook on certain things. But other than that, 1-to-1 is literally no different. Same jump animation, same wall run animation. He still got that ugly ass sprint animation. Oh my god, it's the worst sprint animation I've ever fucking seen in a video game. I hate it so much. I never want to see this animation ever again. Can that shit after this game if y'all do a third game. I hate it. It's the worst. So you still got the ugly sprint animation. All the animations, I'm not gonna say all, but at least 90% of the animations are the same. Only difference is that in combat now, you have stances, in which the first game you could do one lightsaber and then you could do the two-sided lightsaber. So they added two new stances. You could do the double lightsaber, and then you have a third stance, a fourth stance, which I didn't unlock yet, but it's a lightsaber and a gun. So you get a lightsaber and then you get a gun. So they added two new stances to the combat. That's pretty cool. The graphics on this game are really good, really, 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 really good. But between all of the glitches and the game basically being a 1-to-1 sequel and not even barely any new animations, it's just like I'm not disappointed in it. Like I'm having as much fun with it as I'm gonna have. But I'm pretty sure once I beat this game, I'm never gonna play it again. Um, it's gonna get deleted off my Xbox immediately. I'm gonna try to hurry up and beat it before Redfall comes out next week. I'm skipping most of the cutscene because I don't give a fuck about Star Wars. I never liked Star Wars. I don't care about the story, but I like the gameplay. I like the lightsaber combat, and I love the platforming. I didn't talk about the puzzles. I almost forgot. Them shits are garbage, and they break up the immersion of the game so much, and they ruin the pacing of the game because you'll be doing a segment where all right, you get into a mission, you're doing a little bit of traversal, then you get into some combat, then you get into some platforming, then you get into a mini boss. Then you have to figure out where to go because the map on this game sucks, just as it did in the first game. Or maybe it's by design and they just don't tell you where the fuck you need to go, so you could just so they can artificially pad the game with you trying to figure out where the fuck to go. Um, so there's that, and then the puzzles are just so just trash. Like it's no thought. In certain games, when you play and you got to do puzzles, like in Resident Evil, I don't mind it because the puzzles feel rewarding,
Right.
and you actually have to think. In Uncharted, the puzzles feel rewarding when you get them because to me, the puzzles in Uncharted are difficult. I've
Yeah.
always had to have some type of assistant or the hint to pop up to help me. Them bitches are difficult, but when you get them, it feels rewarding. In this game, when you get the puzzle, it just feels this is like, yo, why am I doing this? It's not a sense of like, yo, I got this puzzle. Look, we good. Let's go on to the next segment. We gonna knock this puzzle out. It's just like, yo, why the fuck am I doing this, yo? I went into one cave and they have this ball that you have to drop into some type of holder and it creates a bridge. And it's just like
Some Hogwarts Legacy bullshit.
they pretty much, man. It's just dumb. It's just you could just tell that it's there specifically just to pad the game. Like it's so fucking pointless, man. And it's just like a waste of my time. So at this point, if I'm not doing no side content because I did a couple of the side missions. One of them was I had to go into a cave to fight a mini boss. All right, cool, whatever, regular shit. I did 3 side missions where I had to do the ball and the little holder thing. I'm done with that shit. I'm not doing no more side content. I'm not doing no more optional puzzles. I'm skipping through the cutscenes. I just want to combat and I want to platform and jump across shit, run across the wall and slice niggas up. I'm not doing none of that extra shit. I'm not because I'm just not. So I'm not gonna give it a rating. Obviously, it's too early, but after 10 hours in, man, when I'm not doing combat, I'm just like, yo, why the fuck am I doing this? And that's just never a good sign for a game. So anybody that's thinking about getting this game, I would say wait for a deep, deep sale. It's definitely worth a playthrough. I'm not gonna say skip it or nothing like that. It's worth a playthrough, but wait until it's $30 to $40. Do not spend $70 on this game. Do not spend $60 on this game. In addition to the game being fucking broken and barely working because of all the bugs and glitches, it's just not fun outside of the combat and the traversal. It's just not. And if you played the first one, you've played this one. So keep that in the back of your mind. If you like the first one, you'll like this one. If you didn't, you're gonna feel the same way. It's not much difference at all.
Damn, that's I don't know. That's disappointing. Like, cause I had it. I honestly I quit playing it because something else came out. I don't even remember what came out for the first one, but I was a good like 30 hours in, but I quit. And so what you saying to me is like how I describe fucking Hogwarts Legacy. Like that's the reason why I'm not through with Hogwarts Legacy because you're like you can't do the side content and for RPGs I can't not do that even though they're boring and they're stupid like I have to do all the side missions and so that's like what was holding me up in Hogwarts Legacy but I just like I quit because it if I'm not doing anything Sebastian related like I just did not fucking care or whatever and gameplay wasn't it was too repetitive and so when you have that shit I can't do that like I can't fucking do that shit like to me gameplay would have to be extremely fun or whatever because that's why I've been playing that Ace Attorney game because
Mm-hmm.
there is no combat but the story or whatever was just it was so good and then it's like it's puzzle based like logic based puzzles
Mm-hmm.
or whatever so like you got to use your brain and shit so like no you know what I'm saying no combat usually I complain because I complain about that with horror games if there isn't no combat like I'm gonna complain about this shit because I feel like I've been played because it's a fucking walking simulator or whatever. But I need some story. Like if I'm like looking at Twitter during cutscenes or some shit, then to me that's like a red flag.
That's what
Big
I've
ass
been
red flag.
doing all day on Jedi. I promise you that I have been doing that all day. Y'all look at my timeline. Anybody go look at my Twitter timeline and see how many tweets I made today, and then you ask yourself, yo, how did this nigga play Jedi for 10 hours today, bro? I'm telling you, this shit, them cutscenes, I automatically put my head down when them bitches come up. I ain't even gonna lie to you. But Hogwarts is a different level of egregious because Hogwarts forces you to do the side quests. Like some side quests you have to do to
Right.
progress the story. Like when I was in the fucking top of that school and I had to make the desk to make the potions and grow the plants, that shit was making me so upset because I'm like, why do I have to make this shit and then go find something to do for fucking 20 minutes and then come back and get the item I need to progress the story. Like that shit is just egregious, bro. And I actually was thinking earlier, before you even said something about Hogwarts Legacy, I was like, so we need to have a real conversation about that game because that game kind of came and went. And a lot of people that was excited for that game, they tune changed after they actually played that game. So we gotta have a real conversation about that game. I'm gonna see what people think this week, but We gotta have a
We
conversation
do.
because that game got hyped up so much, and then when people played it, they was like, "Nah, this ain't it, man. This ain't
Cause
it."
I was one of them people. I was definitely one of them people. Like I got the deluxe edition.
Oh
Me
my
and my
goodness.
husband got the deluxe edition, and I was like, I could have kept that shit. Like those mounts, the mounts are trash. Like the outfits that came with it was trash. Like who cares about a battle arena? And then to find out that there are other battle arenas up in there, you just get to use like the curses like early on. Like
Mhm.
they played the hell up out of people. No Quidditch to only come out with a game that looks like like the phone type Sims game type graphics, a Quidditch game like that. Like man, WB boy, they was playing. Like they played so hard, like you said, with them potions, like the fucking having to wait 20 minutes to pick the goddamn animal shit.
Oh my god,
Like that shit was so pointless to me. Like for 30, I gotta go fuck off for 30 whole minutes. Like
man.
that shit was crazy. Like I swear to God, if it was not about Sebastian, I didn't care. It had one interesting like trial, and that was the one where it was like in like the black and white type story setting
Hmm.
or whatever. That to me was the only interesting one, and it was still like meh or whatever. It was just you were so bored by the main story or whatever. Just any sort of deviation from the normal was like, oh my god, like this is amazing or whatever. Because
Hmm.
I'm not going in, kill goblin, pick up item, and leave. Like because that's what all the fucking rest of them was. Like, oh my god, we definitely got to talk about fucking Hogwarts Legacy because I don't. They made $800 million off that game. Like that shit, wild.
And then I hated having to go to the fucking store to sell my robes every fucking 10 minutes.
Man,
No, we gonna talk about that another time. But
yeah.
hey, the PS4 and the Switch version come out this month, so hey,
Don't
they
buy that
going
shit at full price.
yeah, nobody should buy that shit. They shouldn't even be selling that shit at full price. Honestly, after they had so much success, they should be selling that shit at $40 max.
Yes,
We know
$40.
we know they're not gonna do it, and they're gonna get all the money they can because it's a business and we respect it. But come on, man, that game was such a letdown. Like it's little shit about that game still bothers me. Like the fact that you can't even change the color of your attack. Like everybody just has a basic red attack. Why is that not something that people can customize? I don't get it. That you would think that would be common sense.
It was like you said, little things. The fact that if you complete the game, I heard like that was from everybody that said you complete the game and then you go back and do the story missions. I mean the side missions is even worse because they were like no one ever talks to you again if you beat the game and try and go back and do that shit. They're like you're basically a ghost then or whatever. And to me, that's like crazy. There was no type of like interaction. Like the character would always be like, I need to tell Sebastian about this or whatever. But like they don't ever say anything. And so I mean, it was like a lot of shit that they fucking left out. To me,
Listen,
it feels
look,
like
I'm never playing that game again, and I'm fine with that.
hell no.
They said they'll never drop it. They said they're not coming out with no DLC for it. I'm also fine with that.
Right.
Just work on the next one. We know it's coming. Just work on the next one. Be better, and we'll get to it next week, man. On that note, we out, man. We'll see y'all next week, episode 7. We'll see y'all for episode 8. I'm gonna keep trying to figure out this shit, man. Keep trying to figure out ways to be better. I'll see. Keep saying what I could do, but hey, go ahead and take us out, man.
Yes, so follow me, Darkling Ray, and then we have 2099 Gaming, and we will see you all next week.
Next week, shit.